Let us talk about biotechnology and intellectual property rights. Biotechnology concerns with the living organisms such as plants, animals, microorganisms, plant seeds, as well as biological materials such as the enzymes, proteins, and plasmids which are used in genetic engineering. Biotechnological inventions fall into three categories: the process for the creation or modification of living organism and their biological material, and what are the results we get from such processes, and the use of such results. Patents are the most sought IPR in the field of science and technology, and therefore patents are most commonly used form of legal protection for encouraging biotechnological innovation and also their commercialization and technological transfer. The Article 27.2 enables the members to exclude from patentability inventions whose commercial exploitation may be contrary to public order or morality. And Article 27.3 allows members to exclude from patentability certain subject matter such as plants and animals. Because we know that everything under the sky is not patentable. And we can also look in a further slides that what are the exact things which are not patentable. The Article 27.3 of the TRIPS agreement provides that plant variety shall be protected either by patents or by effective sui generis system or by any combination thereof. What do you mean by this sui generis system? Means it is the uniqueness. Okay, it means to say that if there is a plant but it is quite different or it is being modified by certain process, that plant could be patentable. The Article 3 subdivision 2 provides that biological material which is isolated from its natural environment or produced by means of technical process may be subject of patentable invention even if it is previously occurred in nature. So this article says that even though that particular biological material is already found in nature, but if that material is subjected to certain technical process and it has produced some useful product out of it, that particular biological material can be patented. As said earlier, plant and animal varieties and essential biological processes for their production of plants or animals are excluded from patentability because of public order or morality. This means to say that all plants and animal which are found in nature cannot be patented. That is, their productions cannot be patented because there are certain ethics which are against patentability of these plants and animal. And this is based on the interest of the public, and I said because of the moral behind this. So when we talk about the IPR and biotechnology, always it ends up in controversy, saying that what can be patentable and what cannot be patentable, particularly with the advent of genetic engineering and molecular biology. One landmark decision was granting patent to Pseudomonas purida to clean up the oil spills. So this particular microorganism was genetically modified by Anand Mohan Chakraborty, who was working for General Electrical and had developed a bacterium today known as Pseudomonas pudita, derived from the Pseudomonas genus. This organism is capable of metabolizing the hydrocarbons that constitute crude oil. No naturally occurring bacteria show this property, and it is used in the field of bioremediation or biodegradation of oil. Otherwise, it had been very difficult for us to clean up this oil spills. So this was one of the landmark decisions made by the United States Patent Authority, which granted the patent for the microorganism for the first time. Though it has said that microorganisms cannot be patentable, but the modified form of this microorganisms can always be patentable. Similarly, also the plant sources. So when we look into the intellectual property rights in the agricultural sector, the IPR is important in cereal seed technology for food security reasons. It also provides private sector in developing plant varieties. So what we mean to tell here is that we have a plant variety, but suppose say an scientist or a researcher modifies that plant into a better yielding plant or which can withstand a better stress, that type of plant can be patented. By doing so, what we are telling is or doing is to promote the private sector in developing different plant varieties. So it is a means of encouraging that individual. Research and development in biotech has increased the yield in nutritional level of plants. So as we have come across like this golden rice or BT cotton and different variety of disease resistant, insecticide resistant, weedicide resistant plants, we know that also we have increased the nutritional levels of the plant, be it in the tomatoes or in the form of edible vaccines. So these have all had a positive impact on the human welfare and also in the welfare of the plants and animals. IPR also provides incentives to domestic agriculture through foreign companies. IPR provides the incentives for innovation and it also provides opportunity to transfer the technology in agriculture. So suppose you have developed a certain equipment which is useful for the agriculture field, you can always use the technology to transfer it so that you can get or you can earn the incentives or reward for your innovation. Patents help farmers to access to new technologies and fight plant diseases, pests and climate changes. So whenever there is a technology which is an innovative, okay, the farmers can make use of this technology so can they resist the drought conditions or see to that their plant is not infected by any insects or pests, and also it can withstand the climate changes stress. So these are some of the beneficials or the merits of IPR in the agricultural sector. But this has also had some of the demerits. For example, we have what is known as the traditional knowledge. Now this traditional knowledge as defined by WIPO is know-how skills and practices that are developed, sustained, and passed on from generation to generation within a community, often forming part of its cultural or spiritual identity. So, what does this traditional knowledge means? That, for example, in India, we have been using from age old time certain medicinal plants, be it turmeric or neem or sandalwood. So these are having certain medicinal value or therapeutic value, and these are used as spices. And this knowledge has come to us from our ancestor. That is, this knowledge is being transferred from generation to generation just by word of mouth, and hardly there is any written document. So, India has taken a step wherein we can have this traditional knowledge library, wherein it has put forth, it has collected lot of documents wherein we have used these plant materials from the age old times, maybe even the tulasi, okay, which is having a lot of medicinal values. So these are known as traditional knowledge library. So why is this important means in 1995 the United States issued a patent for wound healing rights on turmeric to the University of Mississippi Medical Center, and the patent was granted on healing properties of turmeric. And with much difficulty, CSIR of India proved the prior existing knowledge of such properties of turmeric with help of numerous Asian scripts and documents, and has adopted a defensive mechanism to protect traditional knowledge by way of setting up a traditional knowledge digital library in the year 2001 in collaboration between the Ministry of Ayush and CSIR. So, turmeric being the product of India, and we have used it from age old time till the patent was given to an US research team, for which India had to fight against it, and this is known as biopiracy. There are the methods through which the traditional knowledge can be protected. One is the positive protection, and the second is defensive mechanism. Positive protection means protecting the traditional knowledge by way of enacting laws, rules, and regulations, access and benefit sharing provisions, royalties, etc. So, in positive protection, what we are doing, we are imposing the laws or rules and regulation, and if at all we want to share this knowledge, royalties are required. Another method is defensive mechanism, means steps taken to prevent acquisition of intellectual property rights over the traditional knowledge. So, what is the reason to protect the traditional knowledge? As we told one example, take it for the case of neem or turmeric. We know that these two are the indigenous product of India, and we have been using it from age old time, as I said earlier. But still, you can see that we were taken for granted, and other countries took patent of both neem and turmeric and even basmati rice. But we had to fight against this to get back the royalty for us and re-innovate the patent, that is cancellation of the patent which was granted. So this traditional knowledge is very essential, this traditional knowledge library is very essential, particularly for the equity. What does equity means is traditional knowledge are the skill of the farmers which have nurtured and maintained the rich diversity of plants by continuously selecting the best of the breed. But unfortunately, they are not paid or not even acknowledged. So now whatever the varieties we are getting, whether the wheat variety or the cotton varieties, these are what these are known as the new world evolutions of the cereal plants like maize or rice, whatever. But how did we achieve this? This was achieved by mere skill of the farmers. Okay, they did the hybridization, like they started collecting the good variety seeds, but we don't see that there is any acknowledgement or any form of reward to these farmers. Okay, that is the reason for protecting these plants under the traditional knowledge. Biodiversity and conservation, as I said, it's like in the equity. So what is happening? So we have a lot of biodiversity of plant and we need to conserve it. Preservation of traditional practices. So there are many traditional practices, like for example, even the breeding is a traditional practices which have been followed from long time. So those preservation of those techniques or practices is required. We need to prevent the biopiracy, as I said in the case of turmeric and neem, and this traditional knowledge significance in the development. So when we have such type of traditional knowledge digital library, it becomes very useful to easily access, to know that which are the wealth of the India, what type of plant or flora or fauna which is being found in India. And these knowledges can be preserved so that there is no biopiracy of such knowledge. So, as I said, if there is a lot of merits in intellectual property and in the biotechnological field, it has also led to the bane of the farmers, particularly. So, sometimes patents force farmers to buy new seeds instead of their own harvested seed. For example, lot of patent has been awarded to Monsanto and US company for creating a lot of plant varieties. Maybe they are disease resistant variety or they're producing a very good quality of yield or insecticide resistance, herbicide resistant. So these are really very good. But what is happening to the farmers? The main drawback is the Terminator gene. Now talking about the Terminator gene, these genes is a specific genetic sequence inserted by scientists into the seed's DNA that renders the seed and the crop it produces sterile. That means to tell that if a particular plant is producing a very good yield, which is good at nutrition, so what will happen? The farmer will purchase those seeds, grow that plant in his field, and then he will harvest the yield. And next, what he does, he will collect the seeds of this plant to sow it in the next season. But here, what happens is when they buy this type of Terminator gene from these companies, or what I mean to tell that if the farmers are buying these seeds from the company which has a Terminator gene, that plant will of course produce a very good yield or very good nutritious content in the plant. But unfortunately, these plants will produce a sterile seeds. That is, these seeds cannot be collected by the farmers and sow it in the next season because they seeds are carrying the Terminator genes. So what happens? The farmer during the next season again he has to purchase it. So by doing so, what is happening? The farmers each time have to spend their money on this good variety of plant, and in turn, the company is getting benefited. So what the farmers collect the plant seed, grow the plants, harvest the mature plant, but the seeds are sterile. So this type of many of such type of plants are patented by the USDA and it is owned by Monsanto company. This has created a lot of fuss among the farmers and the common people also because this Terminator technology has no agricultural benefits. Only it benefits the company, but the farmer or the consumers are not at all economically benefited. But the company gets the intellectual property right and it squeezes more money every year from the farmer. So such type of oppositions are there from the common consumers or the farmers against such companies for getting patent granted for the plants. So there is what is known as the Plant Variety Protection Act, the PVPA, provides protection for sexual reproduction in plants, including seed germination. With this act, most commercial crops were now protected by patent law for 17 years, but it had a capping. It was limited by two major exceptions, and those were the seed savings by farmers and for research purposes. Under the PVPA, the brown bag exceptions, that is, farmers could continue to save, replant, and resell the protected seeds to other farmers, thus protecting the farmer's right. So, when we look back into the patent in India, the Patent Act was full-fledged in 1970 along with the patent rules in 1972. It came into force on 20th April 1972, and one of the major recommendation of patent in India was to allow only process patent with regard to inventions relating to drug, medicine, food and chemicals. So you have already studied about the process and the product patent. We said that in most of the countries that like the America and the European Union, the product is being patent and not the process. But India, we have such a lot of population, okay, wherein we see to that the product is not, of course, product patent is there. So also the process patent is given more benefit, particularly in the field of drugs, medicines, food and chemicals, because these are the daily needs for a common man. On 26th March 1999, Patents Amendment Act 1999 came into force in the year 1995. With respect to this 1995 rules, there were certain amendments made. The term of patent was 20 years, wherein the date of patent was the date of filing of complete specification. So, from the date of you filing the patent, you can enjoy the patent for 20 years. That is, you can get incentives or rewards based on your patent. You can enjoy it for 20 years. The Patent Act of 2005 defines the invention as new product or as a process involving an inventive step and capable of industrial application. So when you are telling that you want to patent that particular patent, that method or process or the product involved should have an industrial application so that it can be economically be a boon to the country, just not only the patent people who's going for the patent, but it should also be economic for the entire country and the common people also. So the microorganism became patentable, whereas inventions relating to traditional knowledge were included in the list of what are not inventions. So we know the example of the microorganisms, how it became patentable, and whenever there's a question on traditional knowledge, it was said that it cannot be patentable. And also the section 39 was reintroduced thereby by prohibiting the uh, Indian residents to apply abroad without prior permission or first filing in India. That is, you can file your patent abroad anywhere. You can take a world patent or European patent or American patent, but you have to have a prior permission. First filing should be done in India, and thereafter you can apply for the patent in the other country. And apart from this, we have also spoken that Indian government have seen to that there is no evergreening of patent. That is, we saw in the case studies when we studied about the cancer drug, okay, wherein the evergreening of patent was not possible because just changing one functional group and saying it is as a new drug is not acceptable. Okay, so whenever you are telling something is patentable, it should have innovation, novelty, non-obviousness, that is, it should not be known to the public and should have an industrial application. Otherwise, a patent cannot be granted. So all appeals to the decision of the controller would be appealable before the appellate board. That means if you're having any conflict of interest, then you have to bring your problem in front of this appellate board. So appellate board is present, the headquarters is present in Chennai. So anything relating to your patent should be brought to the notice about this appellate board. And also the section 117 provided for board provision for benefit of agrochemical and pharmaceutical industry. So now what is this BOLAR provision? So the BOLAR provision is a defense for patent infringement. That is, if there is a violation of your patent wherein a patent invention is about to expire within the next 3 years. So we what did we tell? We told that a patent can be given for 20 years. Now 3 years, the last 3 years is left for the expiry. That time what happens is the other companies can exploit. Okay, so they can be exploited by the third party solely for research and development purpose and to obtain the required regulatory approvals while the patent is still valid. So till the completion of 20 years, no one can tamper with your patent. It is entirely yours. But such type of infringement can happen, which is known as Bolar provision, wherein you are left with the last 3 years of the expiry of your patent, and this can be exploited by the third party for either for the research and development purpose. So who can file a patent application? It can be filed by a true or the first inventor or his or her legal assignee, legal representative of decent inventor or the assignee. Suppose that person has died, his representative can also file the patent. So again, when we are speaking about what should not be patent, what cannot be patent, it has a long list of non-exhaustive list of invention which could be considered unpatentable. Okay, these are the process for cloning human beings, process for modifying the germline genetic identity of human beings, uses of human embryos for industrial or commercial process, and process for modifying the genetic identity of animals which are likely to cause them suffering without any substantial medical benefit to man or animal, and also animals resulting from such processes are strictly prohibited from patent. These cannot be patent, whether it is human or animal, it cannot be patent unless until there is something useful from which you can get from the animals without causing any suffering to the animal.